I know, we've heard the same advice get repeated all over again. The hooks are important, the hashtags are not important, or are they? Great reels, the niches are in the riches, or the riches are in the niches. But some things, honestly, just work differently nowadays. Well, good for you, you're actually here, because today I will actually show you some hands-on strategies you could use right away, right after this video, to, blow up potentially, like this creator who's part of my program, and he did exactly what I'm about to tell you right now. So let's start with the hook. Guess what? Yeah, they're very important. That's what they all say. And basically people say if you start out with a strong hook, you kind of keep your average view duration high, which is what the algorithms want, right? Because the beginning is the hook, and then it falls off a little later. So for example, you spend a lot of time creating the best hook and then sort of neglecting what's to come afterwards because the algorithm favors retention. That's what I've heard. That's what's probably true. And even though the curve looks like this, the retention overall, let's say, is still 85%, which is pretty good, right? Well, here's the thing. Doing some research about the Instagram algorithm and the TikTok one, by the way, as well, I think the most important metric you need to hit right now in order to get recommended like wildflies is the completion rate, meaning how many people actually finish the whole video, watched it the whole way through at least once. And it's kind of similar to the retention rate, this percentage, what we always talk about. But what actually matters is how many people got to the end of it and watched the whole thing through, ideally once, ideally more than once. TikTok, by the way, already has this metric in their analytics. Watched full video is what they call it. And let me show an example how to get this whole thing up, especially one thing that I see a lot of creators do that just hurts their reach. What they do is right after the hook, the strong hook, the good hook, they go on a tangent like, hey, by the way, my name is Molly Goli, and I've worked with hundreds of poodles from blue ones to yellow ones become sheep impersonators. And while sometimes a sentence like this makes sense, to give more context to the hook, building up on the hook, kind of giving more credibility, sometimes this can totally crush your reach because people skip ahead, which means they don't watch the full video. There will be a drop and they are not being counted as watch the whole video through. With that being said, let's talk about the algorithm in general. Things are for sure changing. I'll make a prediction video about 2023 next week, I guess, based on my data and insights that I have. But if you want to grow your account sustainably, whether it's on Instagram, on TikTok, or even on YouTube to some extent, you need a strategy that A, gets you attention, B, keeps you and your content interesting, through a longer period of time. I drew a snake with wings because that's just something so interesting to me. And C, establishes connection with your followers, basically content that builds fans. So far, so good. But how are you actually going to do that? Let's talk about the first part, the attention part, aka getting massive reach. And doing some digging, we found out that most people who constantly get 50K, 100K, 200K views per upload and grow their accounts in the millions are typically able to tap into new audiences with certain content and then afterwards make them part of their own ecosystem, if you will. And one super powerful way to do that is what we call trend jacking, and people just don't utilize it, it seems. And if done right, using this strategy to its full extent will cover all 3 points that we talked about right now: the attention, the interest, and the fan base part. So let me actually show you how. Basically, you want to have part of your strategy be about anything that's hot right now in your industry. It could be breaking news or things just people talk about in your industry that you can simply share and give your 2 cents about. We're going to get into that in a second. Or reacting to trending content, or basically anything that's just talked about right now within your niche. Gary Vee, for example, does this all the time recently, which is why I would call it the new $1.80 strategy. He just loves to give us 2 cents about news articles, for example. And the funny thing about creating content like this is that it's, first of all, actually pretty easy to create. You're able to tap into new audiences, getting attention from the right audience. And just by you talking about whatever it is, people will also see you as an authority just because you talk about it. And there's another thing that we're going to get into a little later. If you have a strong opinion about certain things, people are just going to fall in love with you, and others will just hate you like crazy, which is exactly what you want to aim for. Especially if you're new here, I actually started out doing similar things by creating the very first Instagram update videos here on YouTube 4 or 5 years ago, right? I just shared what I read about the algorithm, about the industry news, and next thing I know, I just started growing quite fast, even though I had no idea what I was talking about, kind of, right? Yet people viewed me as somebody who knew their stuff. kind of grew into it, I guess. Now, a lot of people don't understand the entirety of the strategy. Obviously, this thing is not just tied to the traditional trends, so, you know, like the big ones, you know, that span multiple industries. AI, for example, right now is a hot bet for almost every niche, but there's tons of super niche micro trends that only people within your niche or industry know about and care about. Most likely there's also creators with a larger following in your niche that produce content you can reference or leverage. And talking about reactional content, stitches and duets, you know what they call it on Instagram, basically you using a hook or some intro of some other creator that sort of went viral and you just stitch your own continuation of that back there, can get you crazy amounts of reach as well. Basically, it's the same principle. To a certain extent, it's the same with trending audio as well, and these sort of platform-wide trends that are within the platform. So definitely keep an eye out for these things as well. I, by the way, break down trends and content ideas weekly in my trend reports that you can join down below here somewhere if you want to get a head start and constantly get new ideas, trending sounds, and stuff like that in your inbox. Link is down below, by the way. Now, there's another layer you can stack on top of that, and if you manage to do it right, it will snap you into social media stardom faster than anything else, but you got to be very, very careful with it. Yeah, it's a very nuanced thing. I'm talking about being controversial, challenging certain norms and standards within your industry, for example, reacting to certain creators in your niche and calling them out for stuff you actually disagree with. I could do that, by the way. I choose not to, but just today, right before recording this video, I was actually on a call with a new mentorship student from the creator mentorship. By the way, if you want to work with me personally, apply now. But anyway, turns out some creator guru, which is a word I just hate, is a total phony. I'm not gonna tell you who, but let me know in the comments who you think it is. It's not Millie, obviously. She's amazing. Go and follow her right now. And also follow me, subscribe here if you forgot to subscribe. Anyway, one thing I said up in the beginning of the video, and I totally forgot to mention it, was the old saying where people say the niches are in the rich. The riches are in the niches. Can never get it right. And with the way the algorithms evolve, this thing is actually not as true anymore as it used to be. In my opinion, you can go a little bit broader. You should go a little bit broader and not to go into sub-niche, because the algorithms just work differently right now. That's all I'm gonna say. I'll let you know exactly what I mean in a short form video thing pretty soon. Now, using this framework that we just talked about will grow your Instagram, and lots of people are using it right now, and to be honest, lots of people don't use it yet, which is why there's such a potential about this. However, there's a few more things you can do to boost your reach basically right away, and in this video I will show you some actual examples of strategies to grow your account to 10,000 followers at least fast, with proof, with everything. So watch this right now.